Dear students, it is very right time that we should start talking about the contents, context and strategy of the poem named Home Thoughts from Abroad by Robert Browning. I hope that you too have gone through the poem where the poet has poured his feeling for his native land England, staying out of the England, and it is just a very much natural response of the poet that he describes through this poem, especially when summer comes or spring comes. The poet is reminded of all the natural beauty which is prevalent into England. For last two videos, we have been talking that it is the poet concern and a kind of lamentation thereof of the absence from England when it was spring. He is very sorry that he begins his poem with oak interjection when he says that just he wishes to be in England, but this time he is not. So had he been in England, he would have been enjoying the natural beauty and everything that nature provides in spring in England. It is through the memory that the poet is just going into the detailed description of natural beauty. He just imagines all these kind of natural developments, and at the same time he is just missing everything that was very much into the English society. I have told in earlier discussion that home thought is a very natural response to human beings. We know that we are born at a particular place, we are grown up at a particular place, we are reared at a particular place, we live with a particular place, we spend our childhood with particular place. So we naturally get emotionally involved with the natural surrounding, and it has a very great imprint on our heart and mind. You may be living into some better condition, but the nature through which we have developed our personality has always been a guiding principle for all of us. When we look at the very much mood of the poet when he describes all the things on the basis of his imagination, we find that it is rather a romantic and imaginative poem. So, because it is imaginative and romantic, we can say that it must not be realistic. We cannot say that whatever the poet has described is actually taking place when spring comes in England. Most of the things may have taken place, but maybe some things may not have been taking place. Because when we are on imaginative flight, we can just try to conceive the best and the most beautiful thing that we can give to society. So, especially when it is the matter of description of natural beauty, we find that it by and large depends on our imaginative sense. Because nature does not speak to us directly. We have to listen to the call of nature. We have to respond to the natural change. Now, it is but natural that it is depending on our sense to get linked up with natural call. And the more we are linked up and the more we are able to listen to the calls of nature, the more descriptive we become. So, when we look at a blooming flower, it has thousands of responses in our mind. And if 10 people are watching a blooming flower, they have different responses only because of the fact that we have not the same way to look at the blooming flower. And our imagination also does not move into the same direction. Actually, the world of imagination is beyond control. And if we see the same blooming flower 10 times in a day, we find that our responses are not the same. We have different kinds of feelings at different times for the same natural object. Because we find that nature has not been the same to us, all due to our imaginative sense of response. So what we can see is the fact that it is the poet's imaginative responses. Maybe something takes place, but when we think romantically or imaginatively, our responses are just changing so fast. Or we can say we are soaring high and high on the wings of imagination. So sometimes you find that ideal is very beautiful of the romantic of imaginative poet, but the world created by the romantic and imaginative poet is not the same. And so is the situation when the poet has his response to the home that he misses living in Italy, especially during April and May, which is the time of spring in England. So this time he misses home and is melancholic, and he is contemplating on natural beauty. So we can see that he is not particularly with the nature of England. So when we read, Daffodils of William Wordsworth, we find that he is actually reacting and responding to the natural world to which he belongs, or he is physically present there. First he watches everything. He watches dancing daffodils, and he watches daffodils, and so he has several simile comparisons, because realistically first he is present in the company of daffodils. Then into the last stanza he is imagining as the poet is imagining. But in this poem we do not find any mention of his physical presence when he is writing the poem. Robert Browning has spent his childhood, it seems, to the reader, and so there is a great influence of his childhood, his young memory on his mind when he is writing the poem far away from England. So this time we can say he is not in direct contact with the natural world, and exactly we then become more imaginative than William Wordsworth is here in Daffodils. So here he is left with no choice, because you find even nature is not constant. We can see that W. Yeats also writes in his poem that namely the wild swans at Coo, about the natural world. So he is also physically present there, and he is writing at the gap of 19 years. So what do you find? We find here it is the same nature, but the poet has different version to respond to the nature. When we are young, and when W. Yeats was young and visited that place some 19 years ago, it was much more charming and attractive. But this time, when he is just going after 19 years, he becomes melancholic, although he is physically present into the same natural environment. So here Robert Browning has just melancholic feeling, not because of any other philosophical development in his mind and in his personality. He is not philosophically responding to all this situation as W.B. is responding in that particular poem. He becomes philosophic, and through that world of nature, he is trying to describe the process of life. And here what you find, he is sorry because he is not present there. He is not enjoying the natural beauty that might have taken place in England during summer, during spring. So there are different regions of being melancholic to W.B. Yeats in the Wild Swans at Coo, and Home Thoughts from Abroad by Robert Browning. So he wants to be there. He wants to enjoy all these kind of things, and he is imagining that lots of things may have taken place there. So we can say that the poem under discussion has two sections, and each is characterized by its own tone. The first section of this poem is shorter and has the shorter stanza, and here it is the emotional tenor of the poem, that poet is just regretting for his absence from that natural world. And so that section and this section, first section, contains two trimeter lines followed by two tetrameter lines, then three pentameter lines, and a final trimeter lines. So this is what the metrical composition of the first section of the poem is. Now we can say that its rhyme is AB, AB, CC, DD. So we find that first and third rhymes are rhymed, and second and fourth rhymes are rhymed. Then fifth and sixth rhymes are rhymed, and seventh and eighth lines are rhymed. So it is what the rhyming pattern of the first section of the poem is. Now the metrical pattern and the rhymes scheme can be described as short or rising and falling scenes. We can find that the poet also passes through emotional rise and fall. And because just he is under the burst of joy at thinking of home. So we can say when he is thinking of home, he is full of joy, that there are so many pieces of natural beauty just emerging in his mind and in his imaginative world. So He seems to be happy when all these things are reflected very much in his mind. But naturally, when he remembers that he is in Italy, not in England, so personally he is not enjoying that natural beauty, he feels sorry. Naturally, so he passes through emotional rise and emotional fall. And so we find that there is not consistency in the metrical and rhyming patterns of the poem. So then there is a resignation that home lies so far away. The poet now feels that no, he cannot go. So he resigns to situation. He surrenders to situation. He gives in to situation. And it is what just his inability is. That he finds that there is only way to go to England, that is through his imaginative flight. So through his imagination he reaches England, and through his imaginative vision he is looking at all the changes which might have taken place in England. But physically he remains far away, and he is not describing the fact that he has actually seen the same as he is describing here. So there are certain probabilities which are just mentioned in this poem. Now the second section is longer, and it consists almost of pentameter lines, save the eighth lines, that is tetrameter. And its rhyme is AA, BC, BC, DD, EE, FF. Here you find the first and second lines are rhymed. Then third and the fifth lines are rhymed. Then fourth and sixth lines are rhymed. Seventh and eighth lines are rhymed. Ninth and tenth lines are rhymed, and 11th and 12th lines are rhymed. So here too you find that just he remains into just rise and fall of emotional burst. And we find sometime he becomes happy, sometime he becomes sorry. Just happy when he remembers all the natural world and all the natural situations which are likely to take place in England, but sorry that he is not there. And generally you find that it is the same pattern of being homesick. Now just each person has the same kind of response. We know that we are not exact when we remember our just emotions for our home after 5 years living away from our home. You need to be imaginative there. You find that there are some kind of storage of facts that we have seen some 5 years ago. But actually when this time we start recollecting all the memories, there are some memories which are just diminished also, and we start adding something, we start subtracting something also. So here our imaginative faculty becomes a kind of experiment for us. And we are just sometime diving, we are coming up, and once again we are diving into just imaginative world, and therefrom we try to get what is most thrilling for us. And here we find that it is why it is all reflective, and the images are reflects, the scenes are reflected. The poet just try to collect one by one, and the poet is just going to find just one memory after another memory. So naturally we have love for the nature, especially we have love for the nature wherever we live, because just it gives us lots of things. But especially when you talk about the nature to which we have been spending lots of time in early life, we can say that it has been a very much particular for us. And we can say that it becomes so integral in our life that we hardly just forget all these kind of things. So he describes pieces of nature being disparately missed, and it is just all convincing description that you find. You may just agree to the poet so far as the description is concerned, or you may not, but we may agree to the poet when we see that it happens to all of us, that we have great love for the nature or for our home that we miss living outside. So it is what our just discussion is here for today's discussion, and we think that we have well discussed this poem. Thank you.